All right. Well, good evening. We missed you guys in August, but welcome back. I do want to welcome you guys to our Tuesday, September 5th City Council meeting. Again, it's great to see all your smiling faces here today. So we're going to go ahead and start. I do have to read a statement, and after I read the statement, then I'll go ahead and move forward with our pledge, roll call, and all the other things that we need to take that needs to take place. So I'm going to go ahead and read this script for you. The regular meeting of the City of El Centro City Council session, the regular meetings of the El Centro City Council as a successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency and successor housing agency for September 5th, 2017 are now called to order. Prior to roll call, I would like to explain to the public and enter into the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953B concerning teleconferencing of meetings. Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker will be participating in the meeting via teleconference from 290 13th Street, Apartment 3 in Brooklyn, New York, 11215. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, this location has been identified in the notice and the agenda for the meeting. The location is ADA accessible and open to the public. The public shall have the opportunity to address the City Council. The City Council is a successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency and successor housing agency at this teleconference location pursuant to Government Code Section 564954.3. I would like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker to respond to the following questions. Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker, are you able to hear us? Are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Yes, I am.
Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in the teleconference from your location if he or she wishes to do so?
Yes.
Are there any members of the public present wishing to participate?
No.
Now I would like to confirm that all council members can clearly hear Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker. Can everybody hear Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker? Everybody's nodding yes. I would like to remind that all when speaking that you speak into the mic. I would like now to report that any vote taken during this meeting will be taken on a roll call vote. Ms. Caldwell, will you please call roll call?
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Silva.
Present.
Councilmember Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Villegas Walker.
Present.
Mayor Gardenas.
Present. I need to address the issue of a quorum for this meeting. Yes, there is a quorum of the City of El Centro present in the City Council chamber here in El Centro so that the meeting can proceed. Okay, so with that being said, we did call roll call. If you guys can please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation. I've asked Mr. Frank Soto to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can remain standing for invocation. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Lord, we just ask that you continue to be with our city and our community. Lord, we just continue to lift up the city of Houston and all those that are suffering there. Lord, we would also ask that you be with our strike team that's currently up in the Los Angeles area fighting fighters, that you would be with them as well. Lord, we just do this in your name. Amen. All right. Okay. In regards to our city attorney, could you please report out on closed session, please?
There's no reportable action, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. Before I do get into the agenda, I'm going to ask our city clerk to read a statement regarding public comment.
This is a public meeting. If there's an item on the agenda on which you wish to be heard, you're asked to complete a blue speaker slip and submit it to the city clerk prior to the start of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council, successor agency to the RDA, and successor housing agency are not required to identify themselves. However, this information assists the mayor by ensuring that all persons wishing to address the council are recognized and also assists the city clerk in preparing the city council meeting minutes. When the item you wish to speak on is announced and your name is called, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. Unless the mayor extends the time, there is a 3-minute time limit for each public presentation. If you wish to address the council, successor agency, or the RDA, to the RDA and successor housing agency concerning any other matter not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment portion of the agenda.
Very well, thank you very much. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and get into presentations and announcements by the mayor. I do have a very special recognition. I would like Mr. Contreras from CVS y Más to come up to the podium, please. And I wanted to I have a certificate of recognition, and I just wanted to give you a backstory to this. I received a call from a lady in Tucson, and she's actually watching our meeting right now from Tucson along with this family that I'm going to recognize. But we did receive a call from her, and she just gave us tremendous amount of kudos and appreciates the warmth and the amazing comfort that our city has given to them. There was this pretty terrible accident that occurred on Interstate 8, and there was some pretty serious and major injuries. And these folks had to stay in our hospital. They also had to stay in our city for a couple days, and so there was an opportunity for them to, or they were really dealing with some comfort issues, and they made a call to our hospital, and unfortunately we did not have a floor, to give them, balloons or to give them stuffed animals. So our store was closed in the hospital. So then they made a call to CVS, and then Mr. Contreras and his team responded. And so I'm going to let him just introduce himself and then maybe share a little bit about what happened, and then I'll follow up with the rest of the story. So go ahead, Mr. Contreras.
Mauricio Contreras. I work for CVS Pharmacy. I've been there for 10 years. Basically, I got a phone call that one of her friends their family was in a terrible accident, and that, the children might be traumatized. So she wanted us to see if we could maybe put some stuff together, some teddy bears and different things, some different items together, and that she would pay for it over the phone. And I had no problem with it. I talked to my colleague and asked her if she was willing to drive over to the hospital. We did get a couple things put together. We actually took it over there, and we had just caught them as they were coming out. And we took care of it, and Mercy Gastelum is one of my colleagues that actually did take everything over there for her.
Yeah, so it really goes above and beyond. I know that the lady's name was Paige, and then the family that was involved was Lawrence and Jody Knight. They have 3 children, all school-age children. They're doing very well, and they had no family here, no friends, no support, and then they made a call to CVS, and sure enough, Mr. Contreras kind of went above and beyond. The lady that had called me just said, hey, we just need to give him some recognition. I can't believe how compassionate and empathetic your city is. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to really share a certificate of recognition. And it's really, going above and beyond when it comes to customer service. I'm just so glad that CVS is right there located on Interstate 8. But the children are doing great. They're back in school. They're participating in activities. And I do want to say, special thanks and get well to the Knight family, and really thank you for calling me and letting us know how well our city responded to this. So again, it's a real testament of our community, and I thought I'd give him a certificate of recognition. So Mr. Contreras, I do have a certificate of recognition, and I'm going to read this real quick, and then we'll go down and take a picture with you. But it states, the City of El Centro Certificate of Recognition presented to CVS y Más for providing excellent customer service by going above and beyond to show empathy for others and for always striving to improve the quality of human life. So this certificate is on behalf of myself, the mayor of the El Centro, and our entire city council, but we do want to recognize your extra effort on this, and you are a true testament to our community when it comes to helping those that are in need. So do want to thank you. Just want to open it up real quick to my council if they have any comments, and then we'll come down there and take a picture. So we'll start with Mr. Garcia.
Great job. It's, when we have to deal with trials and tribulations, it's always great to see the community come together, and you represented us very well. So thank you very much.
Councilmember.
Likewise, congratulations. Many times the little things are the things that make such a big difference for our citizens and for our visitors. So thank you for what you did.
Yeah, I think, when you talk to people that visit our valley, that's one of the things they talk about is the compassion and
the warmth that we have in here in the valley, and your actions just kind of exemplify that. And I think, congratulations to you and your staff at your new facility, and, good work. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'm hoping you're catching that. Were you able to hear some of the comments?
I am, and I just am so appreciative of one of our corporate partners stepping up and representing us so well. So just please Photoshop me into the picture so I can see it later.
All right, well, we're going to go down, take a picture, and we'll come back to the dais, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, we're gonna, I know Councilmember Silva's out there, I think he's handling some business, but we're gonna go ahead and move right along. We do have some public comment regarding Mr. J.C. Is he present? I believe that he is not, so I'm gonna move down to item number 3, which is the El Centro Chamber of Commerce Monthly Report, and I don't see anybody here from the chamber. So being that they're not here, we're gonna go ahead and move down to the consent item. And does anybody wish, I do have 2 items that I'll be pulling, that's item number 5 and number 6. Are there any other items that anybody wants to pull? Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to pull any items?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I believe Councilmember Silva has also requested to me that he will be pulling item number 8, and he is requesting that be pulled so that he can recuse himself from that. So at this point in time, I will entertain a motion to approve consent items number 4, number 7, and that's it. So if I could have a motion to approve items number 4 and number 7, we can, okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Jackson. Second. Have a second from Councilmember Garcia. Let's see here. Do we want to call Councilmember Silva in, or?
I think he's coming back in.
As Councilmember Silva's walking in, we do have items number 5, 6, and 8 that are pulled, Councilmember Silva. So at this point, I have a motion from Councilmember Jackson approving consent items 4 and number 7. I have a second from Councilmember Garcia. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Do roll call?
Roll call?
Roll call.
I think they're doing roll call.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Have to do
sorry.
a roll call.
Go ahead, Ms.
Jackson?
Diane.
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Villegas Walker?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes. So motion carries 5-0. And we're going to go ahead and move on down to item number 5, and I requested that this be pulled. This is the approval specifications of the on-call signal traffic equipment maintenance contractor 2017, and directed staff to place contract on the public bidding. And so, Mr. Campos, I appreciate you being here. I just had some quick questions in regards to that item, and really it's more of a compliment, and just very excited about this opportunity. And I just don't remember the history, but is this a new concept in terms of providing supplemental services to deal with some of the higher demands when it comes to work orders in relations to the public? Is this relatively new?
Yeah, it actually came out from the Community Enhancement Task Force. That's something that to look into. and expedite addressing and maintenance of our traffic signals. Right now, we have limited staff to go out there and maintain. We function on basically a fire-to-fire basis, and this will allow preventive maintenance as well as an emergency such as an accident of somebody knocking down a pole. We'd have a place to fall back and and provide assistance in terms of having readily available material to come in and replace that faster than we could.
You know, and again, just really seeing, I guess what I'm reading, it's 4 years, up to $600,000 in terms of work, and is that kind of?
Yeah, we're waiting on the bids. That's our estimate at the moment, and the contract, how it's gonna work is we'll get a contractor to come in here and diagnose and provide preventive maintenance service. They'll at the end of that, they'll provide us a report with the recommendations, and based on the highest priority, they'll come back and replace that based on the available budget that we have. So it may be that 1 year we don't do everything, but we phase it out throughout the years to get as much as we can done.
Excellent. Well, just again, the purpose of me pulling it was really to provide compliments and appreciation. I think it's a great idea. I wanted to thank the Community Enhancement Task Force. I think Mayor Pro Tem had mentioned something about the back shields and numerous back shields of these signal lights missing, and they're becoming an eyesore. So I'm really glad that those are going to be addressed. And again, really want to thank you guys for reaching out and being creative and making sure these work orders get done. So that was the only purpose. I don't know if there's any other comments from our colleagues.
I have one question. Abraham, I think during community enhancement meeting, I had questioned about the possibility of, at certain times of the day, mostly at night, having some of the intersections go into a kind of a blinking red to kind of make it into a boulevard stop. Is that something that we could kind of tie into this, where they evaluate that, or is this strictly on the maintenance side where?
We looked at that option. I know there's some towns that do that. We ran it through our master plan to our traffic engineer doing some other timing issues. It's a related project timing for signal lights. And the concern with that is that at night when you had red flashing, let's say along Imperial Avenue where there's nobody there, there are pedestrians, and that function for the pedestrian button would go away. So we don't want anybody not having that pedestrian protection at night that's when they need it most.
What about some of the other areas like on La Brucherie? I know there's some issues at night, and I experience them because I live over in that area, where sometimes those lights just aren't changing. And of course, you look up and down La Brucherie, there's no traffic for 2 miles each direction. It seems to me that there'd be some benefit if something like that was turned into a kind of a boulevard stop. Maybe after hours, after maybe 10 p.m. To 4 a.m. or something like that. Is that something that might be of a benefit, or do we still think there's same issues with pedestrian traffic?
It's the same concern with the pedestrian traffic, but if the situation where you're not being detected by the cameras or the loops, hopefully this contract will help alleviate that, because we'll have a better idea of what's going on in the field. We'll have those reports in an annual basis, on a quarterly basis, and an action plan basically to get everything fixed up. You should be detected when you're at a signal. If you're not and you're waiting and it's not turning, the signal has something. It's probably on recall. It just goes through the cycles. But if you're not being detected, then it's something that this contract would hopefully help with.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Mayor Pro Tem? Any questions?
I just have a comment. I think that all of us have seen on Facebook and other social media people complaining about signalization and timing of lights and everything. We should do what we can to publicize opportunities for people to bring to the city's attention areas that may need attention.
Yeah, we can prioritize based on feedback as well.
Excellent. All right. Well, I do appreciate the comments. At this point, we're going to go ahead and roll call the action.
Motion and second?
I move for approval.
Okay. Sorry. We have a motion from Councilmember Silva. I have a second from Councilmember Jackson. Roll call, please.
Jackson?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Villegas Walker?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes. So motion carries 5-0. Moving on to the item number 6, which I also pulled, in just regards to the security contract. And again, I don't know who can maybe speak to it. I just had one minor question. I think we're okay. just more related to staff, but I do appreciate the folks from Securitas being here and being available for questions. But my question is, I saw that the execution of the proposed execution date of the contract would be September 5th. But I guess my question was, when will we actually see a security guard at the location or at the site? And I don't know who could maybe provide a response to that question.
I can respond.
Okay.
Currently, we have a projected start date of October 1st. Now, that can be sooner than October 1st, depending on some of the current background checks that we're doing with officers, psych evaluations, regulatory and compliance items that we're taking care of. October 1st is the current slated start date, though.
Okay.
Want to introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Nico Siris, and I'm with Securitas Security Services.
Okay. Well, again, I just saw the execution of the contract. I just wanted to double check. I could have asked staff, but
No problem.
I was looking at it. But I do appreciate you guys being here, and that's the only question I have. Councilmember Jackson?
I just have one question, because it wasn't in the backup material as far as the other bids, and, there's just, I don't know if that was missing or if it was just inadvertently left out and we just didn't get it, but I know that there was, I think, a total of 3 or 4 companies that bid, and just for transparency reasons, I think it'd be prudent to have that information, or at least make it public so that people see that. But it wasn't in the packet. And I meant to say something to you today at the closed session. I totally forgot until just now.
Sure, no problem. And apologize for not including that. Yes, we did receive a total of 4 proposals. One, however, declined to continue with the process, so we ended up interviewing 3. One of those companies was American Guard Services Incorporated, of course, Securitas, and then also the City National Security Services. And out of the 3, Securitas proposal was the most qualified.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir, for being here, and looking forward to seeing you in town.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. With that being said, I would entertain a motion to approve item number 6 under the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, this
sorry.
is Cheryl. A quick question. Has all of the approved and appropriate signage been installed at the transfer terminal?
Question for Abraham.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually, Mayor Pro Tem. So in regards to any just signage I guess I'm assuming to enforce any ordinances, is that, have those been
Correct,
installed?
right. The no smoking, the no loitering, all of that.
The non-smoking has been installed. It's been up for about a month, a good part of a month. The no loitering have been there for quite some time before that. So signage is in place to help with enforcement.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, with that being said, I'd entertain a motion to approve item number 6 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion from Councilmember Garcia.
Second.
Have a second from Councilmember Silva. We'll go ahead and roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes, that item passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 8, and that is in regards to the adoption of resolution number 17-66, resolution of the City Council of the City Council of the City of El Centro awarding the bid and authorizing the execution of the contract for Plank Park project. I believe Mr. Silva,
Are we on 7 or 8?
we are on
7.
8, right? We approved 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did.
Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to be consistent with previous actions that I've taken, I'm going to conflict out of this project. I live in close proximity to the park, so just for transparency, I'll be abstaining.
Okay. So at this point in time, Councilmember Silva is removing himself from the dais. I don't have any questions in regards to this item. I don't know if any other council member has any questions, and if not, I'd be willing to entertain a motion to approve item number 8 on the consent agenda.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Jackson, have a second from Councilmember Garcia. Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Silva, abstained. Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes. We have, motion passes 4-0 with one abstention, and that's Silva. We're going to go ahead and move down to our public hearings, and that is item number 9, public hearing for zoning ordinance text amendment 17-02-60.
Oh.
Number 9?
It's an ordinance,
Yeah.
17-08.
Oh,
10, I'm sorry, 10.
10, terminating a temporary moratorium on the establishment and operations of certain residential uses in tourist commercial zone and amending Chapter 29 to disallow residential uses in downtown commercial zone. So at this point, I'll turn it over to our Planning Director, Ms. Villacaña.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. As you may recall, back in May of this year, a temporary moratorium was placed on residential uses, certain residential uses within the downtown commercial and tourist commercial area. The reason being that it seemed, or there was a lot going on, specifically in the downtown, where health and safety issues were, we were concerned about health and safety issues and how residential uses complemented the downtown area. So what staff did during the moratorium is we went back and looked at the compatible uses, whether it's a good idea to have residential uses in the downtown in view of the fact that we're dealing with other issues at this moment, again, regarding health and safety, crime, vandalism, and so forth. So we are here before you to request that the moratorium be lifted under the tourist commercial zone, which, as you know, already has a lot of residential uses, multifamily residential uses, and so we want to lift that moratorium to continue to allow residential uses in the tourist commercial zone, and at the same time do an amendment to our zoning ordinance to prohibit residential uses in the downtown commercial zone. So basically what we are requesting or recommending is the downtown commercial residential uses such as group care facilities, multifamily residential, single-room occupancy buildings not be allowed at this time in the downtown commercial zone, and which would basically be the area in pink along Broadway, Main, and State Street. And we want to allow lift the moratorium within the tourist commercial zone. So at this time, we're asking that a public hearing be opened and to consider the following recommendations.
You know, before, I appreciate the presentation. Before I open up the public hearing, I did ask Councilmember Jackson to maybe comment in regards to any discussions that were involved through our Community Enhancement Task Force, and then I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem to chime in if there's any follow-up comments that you want to add to Councilmember Jackson. So I'll turn it over to Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, first I'd like to thank staff. I think, you know, we were presented with an issue that needed to be addressed, and staff jumped right in, and we had a couple meetings regarding it. And the other thing I want to say, and I don't see any per se the business owners in the downtown, but I want to commend them for speaking up and really taking ownership of the downtown. We've done some tremendous things recently, and if you've driven down the downtown area, you see the new lights that have come on, and those were powered up last week. And these are just the little steps that we're doing to try to take back the downtown area. And I think that addressing this issue and moving forward with this ordinance, I think further makes our commitment to those businesses that have invested a lot of money, and a lot of their time and, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into trying to make business prosper again downtown. I think this shows our commitment as a city that we are behind them and that we're supportive of them, and we really want to see more businesses in our downtown. So again, thank you very much to staff and you for your leadership, Norma, in getting this to us. And I think the business community is very happy with the direction that this is going. So thank you.
Any follow-up comments to that, Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, again, I would echo what Mr. Jackson just said. Kudos to staff. there had been recommendations in the past with regard to allowing residential downtown and project shape and different things that flowed from that. I think it's important for us to be responsive to current conditions, and I think that we certainly have always had the best interests of the downtown at heart, and that allowing residential uses was just not the way to accomplish our objectives and vision for downtown. So I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Excellent. Any other comments before I open up the public hearing? Being that there's none, I'm going to go ahead and open up a public hearing. This is in regards to item number 9, public hearing for zoning ordinance text amended 17-02-10, terminating a temporary moratorium on the establishment and operation of certain residential uses in the tourist commercial zone, and amending Chapter 29 to disallow residential uses in the downtown commercial zone. At this point, the public hearing is now open. Diane, do we have any comments in relation to this item?
No, Mayor.
And any other comments from the audience? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. And any other questions from council? Being that there's none, any other questions from staff? Being that there's none, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to approve item number 9 as I laid it out.
So moved.
And I have a motion from Councilmember Jackson. Do I have a second? I have a second for Councilmember Silva. Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes, we have a unanimous vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, and thank you to staff. Moving down to our second public hearing. Second public hearing. This is introduced ordinance number 17-60.
It's 1711.
1711, sorry. 1711, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of El Centro terminating a temporary moratorium on the establishment and operation of certain residential uses in the tourist commercial zone, and amending the city code sections 29-60, 29-61.
Are you reading?
We're in item 10.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Apologize. We're actually moving down to item number 10, and that is a public hearing for zoning ordinance text amended 17-03-11.
It's ordinance number 1711.
1711, okay. Amended to Chapter 29 zoning relating to commercial and manufacturing zones use regulations for breweries, and to correct Table 29-61.1 regarding bail bond offices and pawn shops in accordance with Ordinance 11-06. At this point, we have a presentation again from our Planning Director, Ms. Villacaña.
Thank you. The item before you is, there's 2 things that we're addressing. One of them is basically we want to clarify and distinguish definitions as it relates to microbreweries and breweries. Right now, our current ordinance does not have a definition. So when we're asked, what's the difference, because currently in the downtown commercial area, microbreweries require a CUP and breweries do not require a CUP. So we've been asked what is the difference. So in order to clarify this matter, we decided to do a text amendment to provide definitions as to the differences between both uses. And at the same time, the other component of the text amendment is to correct commercial zoning regulations. Back in 2011, City Council took action in relationship to allowing bail bonds and pawn shops within certain commercial uses. Unfortunately, the action was taken by City Council, but somehow or other the action was not related within our municipal code. It was erased or So we need to go back and reaffirm that that's what the council wants. So as it relates to microbreweries and brewers, basically we're adding definition. So the definition for a microbrewery will basically be the type of license under ABC would be a type 23 for microbrewery and a type 1 or a type 23 for a large brewery. Also, as it relates, the distinction between both uses would be the amount that it's produced every year. So a microbrewery cannot produce more than 15,000 barrels per year, which is a lot. And the large brewery would be like over 15,000. And also, another distinction would be whether on-site consumption is allowed or not. And basically what we're doing is under under table 29-61, we're adding definitions where it says large breweries and then including on and off premise consumption would not be allowed in the downtown commercial. However, microbreweries would be allowed with the conditional use permit. And we added the language to include on and off-site premise consumption. Okay. And obviously, consumption would also, they could also have food within the brewery.
Is that the type 23 allows food, or is there a different license?
The type 23, basically that's a separate matter. So if allowing food, I'm not sure if it's type 23, but it would be require basically the public health department, environmental health permits. And then also we thought, okay, right now we only allow breweries in the downtown commercial. So we thought it would be a good idea to expand the use to the light manufacturing and industrial areas that we have. So these are the changes that we're proposing, allowing large or microbreweries within the light manufacturing and general manufacturing and MBP with a conditional use permit, and allowing large or brewers or large microbreweries by right without on-site consumption. So if there's no on-site consumption, they're allowed by right. And that's how, and then in the general commercial, obviously they're allowed by right in the general commercial. The other issue with this text amendment, again, as I mentioned, back in 2011, the City Council approved Ordinance 11-16, and it added pawn shops and bail bonds offices as listed use in the commercial zone and civic center zones. So both uses were removed from the commercial zone table. So what we're doing, the action that we're recommending tonight is the same action as we did back in 2011, just so we can reinstate those uses within the commercial zone table. And this is what's been approved already, and this is what we would, allowing bail bond offices, they're not allowed in the downtown commercial. However, they're allowed in the general commercial, heavy commercial, and tourist commercial with the conditional use permit. And the same thing with pawn shops. It would be allowed in the downtown commercial with a conditional use permit. So at this time, we are recommending that the City Council open the public hearing to allow input from the public.
Right. Before I open the public hearing, I'm going to bring this to council first. And does anybody have any general comments regarding this proposed amended ordinance?
Alex, this is Cheryl. So I know that we've had a couple of entrepreneurs who have been interested in locating within the city of El Centro. So, Ms. Villafana, can you address maybe where the city came up with the framework for making the differentiations between large on and off premises consumption and that sort of thing? I want to make sure that what we're doing, it will allow for the establishment of the breweries that have already expressed interest in locating in El Centro.
Certainly. The first thing we looked at is compatible uses within that particular zone. So as it relates to the downtown, the compatible uses that we saw within the downtown are basically, it would be like a bar. So where there would be consumption of beer. So right now, currently in our downtown commercial area, bars require a CUP. So basically, we based it off of that. Any kind of assembly area in the downtown area requires a CUP, as you know, churches also require a CUP. So that's where we came up with the CUP for the downtown commercial area. Now, allowing them by right in the general commercial area, again, we went back. Do we allow similar uses in the general commercial area by right, or do they require a CUP? And in the general commercial, those uses, similar uses, do not require a CUP. So that's what we based it on.
Good question.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yeah, Norman, under the CUP for say, a microbrewery, would they be under the same requirements as far as parking as a establishment of consumption? I know we had some issues in the past with, businesses that wanted to locate in the downtown as far as restaurants and the amount of parking spaces per occupancy and things like that. And I thought we maybe had addressed that, but I can't recall.
The way we're addressing is there's no parking requirements in the downtown.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had done that. I very much think that this is a good step in trying to bring more economic development to our downtown and the possibility of location of microbreweries. And it seems to be a very large item that you see universally through all downtowns now, and they use those as anchor clients to bring in and attract other business. So hopefully we can land a couple and really transform downtown. So I'm looking forward to it.
Any other questions from the council? No, I did want to piggyback a little bit on Mayor Pro Tem's comments. I did make some inquiries that I wanted to make sure our proposed ordinance was consistent with our sister cities, and I believe they are consistent, and all cities require a CUP for microbreweries in certain areas. So we are pretty much consistent with other cities in the county. Is that accurate, Ms. Villacana?
Yes, we reached out to Imperial, Calexico, Brawley, and Hopeville. And all of those cities, the brewers, well, there's a brewery, 2 breweries in Imperial, and then there's one in Hopeville. I'm not sure about Brawley. But they do require, even though the use is not listed, they did require conditional use permits for the existing breweries.
Excellent. Okay, so at this point, I am going to open up the public hearing in regards to the zoning ordinance as proposed and outlined. So at this point, the public hearing is open. Ms. Diane, do we have any comments in relation to this item?
No, Mayor.
Being that there's none, is there any additional comments from the audience? Being that there's none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council and staff. Any other comments? Being that there's none, at this point, I would entertain a motion to adopt item number 10 as outlined previously.
So moved. Second.
Okay, have a motion from Councilmember Garcia, have a second from Councilmember Silva. Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes, and that motion carries 5-0. Thank you, and thank you to staff on that. We're going to go ahead and move down to item number 11. This is also a public hearing in relations to solicited public input on the 2017 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report and approval of capers and authorization for staff to submit capers to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. At this point, we have a presentation from Ms. Stacy Cox.
I'm here again. Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. As an entitlement city, the city of El Centro is required on an annual basis to report back to the Department of Housing and Urban Development any activities that were undertaken or completed through the program year with CDBG dollars. The program year this year began on July 1st, 2016, ended on June 30th of 2017. The report you have in front of you is the CAPER, as it's referred to, the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, the CAPER that has been completed for that program year. I do have a presentation for you of just summarizing the information that you have in your CAPER. The first category that we undertake is housing activities. This year, we completed the activities under lead-based paint program, asbestos abatement, off-site improvements, housing rehab, and this year was our first time dealing with grid alternative solar energy. We were able to complete substantial amounts through all programs. The only one that wasn't utilized this year was the lead-based paint because there was no need for it this year. We were able to complete 2 housing rehab programs, and we actually finished a 3rd one that was a holdover from last year. For the amount of $130,000, and as you see, we spent $119,240. We just did include for you a couple of the before and after pictures on one of our projects. Next category was public services. This year, we funded the Catholic Charities House of Hope, Catholic Charities Senior Nutrition, the Woman Haven Transitional Housing, and the Emergency Shelter. As you can see, we did have 100% expenditures of the approved funding, and we actually, on our targeted goals, came out a little over the targeted goals that were reported by our subrecipients. And the next category is fair housing. As you're aware, this is a required activity through the CDBG program. We had budgeted $47,250 and we expended $38,981. Under public infrastructure, when the annual action plan was originally approved, it had been put under the El Centro Aquatic Center. Because of some concerns that we might not get the funding expended in time, we had come to council before and had the funding reallocated to the McGee Park Playground Improvement Project. That, as you can see, we've only spent minimal funding, but with your approval of the consent agenda item tonight, we will be going forth with that project. We anticipate beginning construction sometime mid-October and completing the project in about mid-December. And that should expend all of the funding that has been allocated to the project. The next category was the code enforcement program. We budgeted $69,300, expended $49,604, and they were able to start 107 cases this year, 58 of them residential, 49 of them commercial, for a total of 107 code enforcement cases.
Stacy, do you know if those numbers, how they compared to last year's numbers?
I can get that information for you. I don't have the report with me from last year. I couldn't say for any certainty. And then under program administration, we had budgeted $65,150 and expended the full amount of $65,150. We did not budget any funding through the program income for the administration this year. Here's just a summary. We broke it out between the entitlement and the program income. At the beginning of the year, you can see what the available balance was. And add to that the grant that we received this year and the program income that we received, taking out all of the expenses that we had throughout the year. We have an ending balance and entitlement of $335,570. However, all of that has already been allocated. We have the funding of that balance that we currently have available with HUD. The funding has already been allocated to the McGee Park projects, and you guys have already approved the annual action plan for 2017-18, and that includes the amounts of the leftover entitlement funding, including all reprogram funds. Under program income, we had about $298,997 left. Of that, again, we have some funding that's already been allocated to the McGee Park Playground project. And under the 2017-18, we did have some public services that are receiving funding, as well as the aquatic center. As part of the 16-17 year, we had done an amendment to the McGee Park, and we'd actually had to pull some funding from the funding we'd anticipated putting on the Aquatic Center for 17-18 because of a shortfall in funding based on the bids that were received. However, when we did the end of the year receipts for program income, we saw that we actually had more program income come in than we had actually anticipated. And because of that, we have the extra funding of $72,909, and we are planning on putting that back on the Aquatic Center from the funding that we had planned on taking away from it. So we'll actually have everything allocated completely in entitlement and program income. At this time, staff is recommending that you open the public hearing for any public input and also adopt the resolution approving the CAPER and authorizing staff to submit the report to the Department of HUD. If we do receive that approval, we'll begin our public review period beginning tomorrow, September 6th, and it'll end September 21st, at which time we'll submit the CAPER to the Department of HUD.
Excellent. So at this time, I'll bring this back to council. Any questions for Ms. Stacy? Being that there's none, at this point, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing in relations to item number 11. So at this point, the public hearing is open, and I would ask Ms. Diane, is there any comments in relation to this?
No, Mayor.
Any comments from the public? Seeing that there's none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Any additional comments from council or staff?
Just to commend Stacy and her staff. I think
My staff, her staff.
Marcella, whoever does all this stuff.
I am
I know
staff.
I know it's one of those tasks that's sometimes never fun because the funding is not as much as we'd like it to be. But I think from the council aspect, it's always the toughest thing to allocate the funds to some of our organizations, and then of course some of the other services that we provide. So good work on presenting this.
Well stated. So in regards to adoption resolution number 17-67,
67.
resolution of the City Council of the City of El Centro approving the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report 2016 as part of the end-of-year requirement report provided to the Department of Housing and Urban Development under the Entitlement Grantee Program. At this point, I would entertain a motion to adopt this. I have a motion from Councilmember Silva. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Councilmember Garcia. Roll call, please.
Jackson,
Yes.
Silva,
Yes.
Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Cardenas.
Yes, motion successfully passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Stacy and the staff. Moving down to item number 12 under new business. This is discussion and any necessary action regarding the determination of the city's position on proposed 2017 League of California Cities Annual Conference resolutions. This is a presentation on my behalf. I do want to thank Mayor Pro Tem for taking the time to attend. There is I want to entertain any discussion or any necessary action regarding the determination of the city's position on any proposed 2017 League of California Cities resolutions. I'm going to ask for a little bit of help from our Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any specific action or any discussion that maybe you can enlighten us on maybe some of the proposals that are going to be discussed there, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that both of the proposals are definitely in the interest not only of the City of El Centro, but cities throughout the state of California. We know that there have been 3 significant changes in the criminal justice system, one through legislation that essentially transferred, I think, 45,000 felons from state prison to local jurisdictions. And then we had 2 state ballot initiatives that were passed by the voters. And I think that the combination of the 3 have created some unexpected consequences that we now at the league level would like to get the attention not only of the governor but also the legislature. And if we look at page 314 of the agenda, it kind of spells out the specifics as to what we as the league would be looking for. So I am asking concurrence from the council that the City of El Centro does register an affirmative support position for both resolutions, this one as well as the the EMS provisions, which are addressed in the second resolution. And at the request of the mayor and myself, acting city manager did have the opportunity to float both resolutions to our police chief and also our fire chief for concurrence. And I believe, Marcella, that both concurred that the city of El Centro should take support positions on both resolutions.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, that is correct. Fire chief and police chief do support the resolutions.
Excellent. Any specific action as far as giving you delegation authority, is that right? So, or giving you some authority in terms of voting? Is there any specific action that needs to take place with this council?
I guess, Mr. Mayor, my request would be that the city council take action to approve support positions for both resolutions, and then at the league meeting next week, I would vote in favor of both resolutions if that's the prerogative, or the majority of the council agrees with that position.
Let me, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So at this point, I would, can we just give her direction, or do we have to take specific action? Maybe Betsy, or could you advise?
I can give direction.
Direction?
I can give general direction, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is the council pretty much in unanimous agreement? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, we are in unanimous agreement, so you have full direction.
Just one question.
Oh, one quick question from Councilmember Jackson.
Cheryl, is SCAG also in support of both resolutions? Or
Yes.
they are taking action also?
Well, SCAG is in support in concept with regard to, we need to figure out what's happening with regard to the whole criminal justice realignment and all of the things that flow from that. SCAG has not taken a position on EMS because it's sort of outside the scope of, their mission. But certainly with regard to some of the upticks in, the crime statistics that we've been seeing, particularly with property crime, SCAG sees it as a quality of life issue that we should probably, have a better understanding of changes we could make so that, like I said, these unintended consequences are dealt with. And Marcelo or the mayor, do you want to talk a little bit about our conversation then with Chief Prince? Because I think that definitely ties into the same issue.
My comments, I'm going to maybe ask our interim city manager to chime in, but I do want to thank you for helping us arrange that meeting. And I know that Chief Prince did have a meeting with myself, Marcella, and the Mayor Pro Tem, and just kind of gave us some discussion and talking points, and kind of addressed some of the myths and some of the realities of what we're facing. But I don't have all those notes in front of me. I'm going to maybe ask our city manager to chime in a little bit and maybe try to summarize some of Chief Prince's comments.
Sure. Well, basically, Mayor, as you pointed out, we did have an opportunity to meet with Chief Prince, and basically it had to do with a assumption that we were going to see some monthly releases from the Department of Corrections to the Imperial County, anywhere from 45 to 50. But after meeting with Chief Prince, it appears that the number is actually 15 to 20 that they're handling through the probation department. He did provide, some numbers to us, which he was going to follow up and kind of confirm, because I know he was going back and forth as far as, the actual releases. But it was a very good meeting with him. He kind of shared with us some of the services that are being provided to these individuals and how they're trying to work with different agencies to try to basically, have them be part of the community and are assisting them. So we were invited to participate in a meeting that I believe is attended by the Imperial County Behavioral Health and also Sheriff's Office and Probation to start this discussion about, these individuals that are being brought into our community as a result of these early releases.
And just to kind of piggyback, what you're basically seeing is our city taking a very proactive approach to dealing with maybe some of the potential challenges. So again, special thanks to our Mayor Pro Tem staff for putting that together. So at this point, Mayor Pro Tem, you do have unanimous support, and we want to wish you the very best up in Sacramento.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, at this point, I am going to go back to public comments. Do we have any public comments for this evening?
Yes, we do, Mayor. Larry Robin?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, my name is Larry Robin. I'm actually from Brawley. I'm on Social Security disability. I'm currently a resident of El Centro. I live over on Adams Avenue, and every day I walk the distance on my license, walk to the Salvation Army for lunch every day, and I walk past the city of El Centro's youth pavilion. And this last summer, I walked by there, and it was at the beginning of the summer, and I noticed that a lot of cars, a lot of youth started pulling up, and I couldn't believe that the city didn't go through and clean all the parking places, and there was trash, all from right there at the corner of 8th Street, all the way almost, every end of each parking place that's in there, the ends were full of dirt, debris, leaves, all that stuff, and with trash. Okay, and there was trash. It'd probably take a full trash bag full and put it in there. It was littered, the whole parking place, and then in the front and the gates. And I couldn't believe that the parents in these nice cars and these kids and these youth, it wasn't just 1 or 2 or 3 cars. There was 15, 20 cars in there every day in the youth pavilion, and these kids were having to get out of their parents' car and the parents and, make their way through all this trash. There was trash everywhere. There was literally trash everywhere. So, myself, I've come to a few council meetings. I really didn't want to say too much. I spoke on an issue, but I really wanted to listen more than anything. Myself being on Social Security disability, that was one of the things I did. I worked in the yard. I worked labor all my life. So I'm not any stranger to hard work, okay? And to get out there and clean something up and get something clean, it was always, it was something that a boss always expected. If there's something to do, if you see something, you guys probably know that if you see something, get it done. You do it yourself, get it cleaned up. I don't have to tell you. So I was, wondering about this, and there was trash everywhere. And then I found a kid's headphones with the name on it outside the pavilion walking one day. So I decided to return it in there. And I felt the guy was actually prejudiced against me because I was white. I went in there and he just slammed the door, denied me access, and threw it in the trash. Didn't want anything to do with me, So I was like, well, okay. So I brought it over here and I made my complaint to the city manager's office. And then I actually complained to her about the trash. And I told her, there's little kids and their parents having to pull up in all summer long in all this trash, and it's really necessary that the city get it cleaned up. So I complained to her 2 times. They actually went through and cleaned up some, not all, and not the property, some of the trash, and left the other trash there. The reason in that, there's no excuse for that. And so I noticed there was 2 40-ounce bottles. They were actually bottles. One was broken by the area of the entrance. The other was sitting in the parking lot. And that sat there for a day and a half, almost 2 days. So then I returned to the city manager's office, and I think the city manager was on vacation out of town. And I talked to the receptionist, and I was able to vent to her and explain to her, there was actually, glass and stuff. So anyways, I told her. So anyways, the next day or two, I'm actually walking, and they did clean that up. Some of it's cleaned up. And I saw a fella in there in the city of El Centro uniform, okay? If it were myself and working anywhere that I work for, I'd have had the whole place cleaned up. If my boss told me something about getting something cleaned up, every piece of trash on the property would be cleaned up. Not just some of the trash, but that's what your workers did. They cleaned up some of the trash. I watched the guy with the hand, the little pick up the trash. There was a trash can the next day that I walked by there, and there was trash. He cleaned up some of the trash, not all the trash. He didn't, you know, so it was unacceptable, you know, and for somebody that's spent their life, you know, working, or somebody that's worked some of the time real hard working, totally unacceptable. So you have like a city slacker over there with Youth Pavilion, a brand new facility that's totally trashed, and you know, where I see it is, you know, whoever's supervising, you know, getting the work done, in charge of, you know, all that detail, is not doing their job. So, but the one thing I will say is to see kids with $40,000-$50,000 cars and all their parents, the city, community, the citizens of El Centro's youth pull up all summer long, and the trash was left there all summer, every day, every week, for 2.5 months. There was trash there, so, you know, the downtown area is unacceptable too, so.
All right, well, we got some things that we're looking at, but I do appreciate your comments. Any other public comments?
Yes, Tomas Oliva.
Yes, sir. Always good to have you here.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Tomas Oliva, and I represent Congressman Juan Vargas here in Imperial County. My reason for being here in front of you today is to formally announce and to invite you to an immigration forum that we're going to be having on September 20th. As you know, today is a big news day, as the administration and White House has announced their intentions of augmenting and affecting DACA, or the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. And so it just so happened that we had already planned this. And so I just think that more so than anything, the residents of Imperial County can feel free to come out and receive some information. Congressman Vargas will be moderating the event, and we will have Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia present. We've invited the Consul de Mexico, representatives from ACLU, as well as a representative from USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services Department, will be there to give an overview, information regarding immigration, give information regarding DACA, Know Your Rights. The representative, Assemblyman Garcia, will be able to give his perspective as far as what the state has done in terms of legislation or allocating funds. The congressman as well will give some comments as far as his stance on immigration reform. But more so than anything, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware, as well as the residents of El Centro. And generally, we'll be going around to all the city councils throughout Imperial County to inform the constituency. And so I invite you all, September 20th. The event starts, it's a Wednesday evening. The event starts at 4:30, from 4:30 to 6. It will be at the First United Methodist Church on 8th Street. So that's 312 South 8th Street here in El Centro. And the event is RSVP required. And so I would like to say, and I do encourage yourselves as well as your constituents to go to our website, which is vargas.house.gov. And it's the first window, the first ticker there, in order to sign up and let us know that you will be there. And so we look forward.
How do we RSVP?
Online, or you can give me a call at the office. I'm in charge of putting together that RSVP list to make sure that we have enough water, cookies, and chairs and whatnot for anybody that's there. There will be some tables in the back as far as for any nonprofit and approved organization to be able to provide some more information. For example, ACLU, right? And some others have been invited to provide some information and education as far as the services that they provide for residents.
Let me just follow. Betsy, if 3 or more of us attend this event, is that going to be an issue? No? Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, can I
Yes,
a couple
sir.
of questions? So thank you, Thomas, for doing this. And unfortunately, I'll be out of town on September the 20th, so I won't be able to attend. But do we know how many DACA approved citizens are here in the Imperial Valley?
You know what, we actually talked about that in our staff meeting. We are able to get the information as far as how many DACA recipients exist within our district. I don't have that number. However, what I can say is that of the 800 or so thousand DACA protected applicants in the entire program in the entire country. The top 3 states that have the highest concentration of DACA enrollees are New York, Texas, and California. And so within California, we have in and about, give or take, 200,000 DACA recipients. So the change, and I'm not here to get into the political discussion, right? But the change of the program, or at least the future of it, will affect significantly to individuals who currently reside within California. And I would be more than happy to once ask staff to kind of give me that number to come back and be able to
Great,
provide
thank
that
you.
for council.
Excellent. Thank you
All
for
right.
the personal invitation.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Sir. All right. Any other public comment, Ms. Diane? Being that there's none, there's no business in regards to the successor agency of the redevelopment agency, successor housing, no action, no business scheduled, no additional public comments. At this point, we're going to go ahead and combine task force reports and council member reports, and we'll go ahead and start with council member Garcia.
As far as task force reports go, I don't have anything to report, but throughout our long break, I was able to attend a couple key events, one being the Chamber of Commerce mixer that happened a couple weeks ago. It was very, very well attended considering how warm it was, but it's probably one of the most well attended mixers that I've been to, at least in the last 6 months. I was very, very pleased with the turnout. Everybody was in high spirits and enjoying the summer. There were a lot of new businesses that were being showcased there that are coming to El Centro or have already set up shop here, and that was very nice to see. They had a very positive view of the city. Credit to our staff for that. And a lot of them were very complimentary when they found out that I was on the council. They wanted to discuss how welcoming the city was. And it was just really nice to see that our community development and that our business development is firing on all cylinders. Also, recently, I had the pleasure of attending the El Centro Day at the ballpark. Saw the mayor there representing the city as one of the heavy hitters on the screen. It was a wonderful event to attend. Again, that's another great event that we do with the city, and it was very, very well attended. My understanding is that only 4 tickets were left unclaimed. They were paid for, but unclaimed. So we sold a substantial amount of tickets, and we definitely took a big part of the section that we had. So that was very nice to see a lot of the residents. And I noticed that we're the only city that does a day at the ballpark. So we're starting to see more and more people from other cities that actually look forward to our event. And it's a great networking opportunity. And it's good to see all the residents out. And of course, the kids love going to the ballpark. So
Nice.
that was that.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't have a report, Mr. Mayor, but I do want to thank staff and our city attorney for allowing me to participate telephonically in this meeting. Thank you.
Chris from IT is here as well, so I want to give him a special thanks. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
He's giving you a thumbs up. So, all right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Silva?
Just an announcement. Our next council meeting on September the 19th, I will be able to attend our closed session at noon, but I will not be able to attend our regular open session portion of the agenda. I'm scheduled to be in Irvine at 8 in the morning the following day. And I've been advised of people that know that said I probably won't make it if I leave at 5. So I'm gonna have to leave the night before and spend the night there, so I will not be attending the open session.
All right. Councilmember Jackson?
You want to come to the meeting and then leave after? Yeah, a couple of things. LAFCO's been pretty busy, and I want to give the city and my colleagues an update on a couple of projects. The Millbrosen project is finally done and over with. As you recall, we had some issues with a protest. We found that there was some misinformation given to a lot of people that had voted initially through Cal LAFCO and their legal advice. We were able to basically go back out for a new ballot. And the second time, we actually had 0 protests. So that put to rest the Millbrosen issue. A couple other issues that don't necessarily affect the Centro, but affect the Imperial Valley. We have taken action to dissolve the Nyland Wastewater District. Unfortunately, they're just not able to manage it themselves, and there's some funding sources that are going to dry up federally and state if we don't move to either a community service district or the county to take it over. So, and also the finalization of the dissolution of the Winter Haven Fire District. So LAFCO's been pretty busy the last few months. Also attended the El Centro Patriotic Planning Committee, which is a new committee in the city of El Centro. We've been meeting at the American Legion, and I wanted to announce that the next meeting is September 23rd at 11 a.m. at the American Legion. This committee is made up of a lot of veterans, people from the Navy base, and their whole goal is to move a patriotic, kind of an Americanism type theme as far as Flag Day, Veterans Day, any kind of thing that is patriotic and really representative of American values. And so we've had some good participation. We've had 2 meetings so far, and we actually doubled our participation on the second meeting, so word's getting out. You can find it on Facebook, but I think there's some good projects coming up. There's the planning of a Veterans Day celebration this year at the Veterans Memorial, and I think we'll be reaching out to your office, Tomas, to see if we can get some participation maybe from the congressman, or at least representation from your office, and as well as the other dignitaries locally. But they do want to put on a nice event this year now that we have the Veterans Memorial as a nice backdrop. So looking forward to serving on that and hopefully getting some new projects for the city.
Great work, Councilmember Jackson with LAFCO. Just real quick, lunch with the mayor. Thanks to staff for setting those up. I don't think I can eat another chalupa for a while because burgers and beer, I mean, they're great. But I had these lunches set up with some of our key sponsorships, and I can't tell you how grateful they are of our department heads, all of our department heads, fire chief, police chief, planning, engineering, public works, everyone. And Marcelo, I do want to pass on a compliment from EW Corporation, and he is just very appreciative of you and everything that you've done. But EW said for sure that I need to make sure and tell you thank you, and we appreciate you. So thank you for everything you've done. Great opportunity to hear back from our community. Also saw the employee newsletter. Great work on the newsletter. Attended back to school celebration. I appreciate Councilmember Silva for being there. Excited to see our elementary school district, our K through 8. They're just really pumped up. Again, just a special recognition to Public Works, Engineering. 21 street improvements in 4 days, totally unheard of. Major compliments from the community. So I don't know how you guys did that, but 21 streets in 4 days, amazing stuff. Also another special thanks to our engineering department, Abraham. He was the program at El Centro Rotary. So thank you again for holding your own and taking those people on at El Centro Rotary. But he did an excellent presentation. So did Anna with code enforcement. She was also the program for El Centro Rotary. So again, Mayor Pro Tem did also attend on your behalf ICTC, and I apologize if I step on your toes here, but there was a lot of discussion regarding SB1, and SB1 is the Road and Repair Accountability Act of 2017. We are going to see a small amount, about a $250,000 funding injection in pavement, and so I am asking staff, and I hope you're okay with that, Mayor Pro Tem, that they come back with a presentation. I believe you have something on the agenda coming up in October, and maybe give an overview to the full council on SB1 and the implication. I know that we are going to receive $250,000 in 2017, 2018, and then we'll be receiving $750,000 in 2018 and 2019. So, Mayor Pro Tem, would you be in agreement that we maybe give full council a overview on SB1? Would you be supportive of that?
I think absolutely we need to do that, and we probably also want to spend just a little bit of time talking about some of the things that have come about as a result of that. There's a recall campaign against, I believe it's an assembly member that's been launched who voted in favor of SB1. There's also, I believe, and maybe our city attorney can help with this, but I believe that there's been a signature drive launched to try to overturn certain components of SB1, in particular the increase in the gasoline tax, which It's one of the reasons why League of Cities, SCAG, and other organizations are really encouraging folks to move forward quickly with projects so that the public can just see the benefits of finally having a comprehensive transportation funding strategy for the state of California.
So, could we, or Marcelo, would it be appropriate for staff to prepare a presentation, maybe at our first meeting in October, giving it an overview and maybe determine where they're at on this recall effort, and maybe even provide some letters of support or provide a position on it?
Yes, we can do that. We actually were planning on presenting to you, as required by the SB1 program, to present to you the projects that we are considering for funding, so we can certainly incorporate an overview of what that program looks like.
Excellent.
That's not a problem.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just two quick other items. Also attended the backpack giveaway. We gave over 700 backpacks and over 2,000 snow cones. Maybe that's what contributed to some of the trash around the sports pavilion. But there was just tons and tons of people. I mean, hot, but I mean, they gave over 2,000 snow cones in the middle of August. And then also presented a proclamation to Starts With Arts Foundation and thanked them for all their help. So, with that being said, any other comments? Marcela, are you good? Good? All right, with that being said, we stand adjourned. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.